There are many different engines on the island of Sodor, both big and small, steamy, diesel, or electric. All working hard to be really useful on the various railways on Sodor. James is the number 5 red engine on the North Western Railway. He likes to be the center of attention and likes to be clean and smart. One day, James was resting in the sheds when Sir Topham had arrived. "Afternoon, James." "Afternoon, sir." "James, since the Farquhar branch line has gotten more work and Thomas has been called back to primarily help with the work again, I need you to take the local run today." "Yes, sir," replied James. He was excited. While he was tired, he was not the type of engine to pass up the chance of a passenger run. Soon, James's crew arrived, and James filled them in on the task. "Right, let's go," said James's driver. With that, he opened the regulator, and James puffed away. When James arrived at Knapford Station, the passengers were already there and the coaches had already been shunted. "This is nice. My couches are shunted, the passengers are already here, and my paintwork is as shiny as ever. Nothing could ruin this day," he thought. Just then he heard a whistle. "Oh, that must be the guard," said James. "It can't be, he's early," said the fireman. "Must be in a rush," said the driver. He opened the regulator, and James started to move. But the whistle had been from a kid who recently bought a plastic whistle. But it was too late. James was already on the move. This does not seem right," thought James. His crew thought the same. They were so busy trying to figure out what was going on that they didn't notice the red signal until it was too late. "James, watch out!" cried Whiff. "Driver, brakes!" cried James. James's driver shut off steam and braked hard, but it was too late. Luckily, no one was seriously hurt, but James was covered in horrible, stinky rubbish. "Whiff, what was that for?" demanded James. "James, did you and your crew not see that the signal was red for you and green for me?" James and his crew looked back at the signal. "No, I guess we didn't. We were wondering what was going on with the guard giving us the all clear so early." The signalman came up and explained everything. James's crew were relieved, but James was cross. James received minor damage and was still on the rails, so he was uncoupled and headed to the steamworks to be cleaned. When he arrived, Kevin was there waiting for him. "Kevin, I'm here for my washdown." "Alright, James, just wait a moment and I'll get the workmen." As James waited, he noticed an odd shed beside the main steamworks shed. "I wonder what that's for." He soon found out. Suddenly he saw soap and water coming out of the shed and heard 2 voices from it. "This is weird but nice. See, I told you." "What on earth is going on over there?" asked James. "Oh, that is the new engine wash. It's mainly designed to mechanically clean engines, but we also use it to clean rolling stock." James was surprised. "Come along, James. The workers are ready to clean you up." James puffed away to be cleaned, but he was still intrigued. A few days later, James had to take a goods train to the Sodor Steamworks. He noticed that the engine wash was empty. Now was his chance. Hey Victor, my paintwork is a bit dirty. Oh, well, so maybe you could start up the engine wash and... Wait, James, you can't go into the engine wash. James was puzzled. How come? Look, Charlie's in the wash and he seems fine. Just as James said that, Charlie rolled off the engine wash, shunted by Dash, the red tank engine. The reason he can go into the wash is because he's not in steam. Yeah, the soap and water would put out the fire in a steam engine's firebox in an instant. James rolled his eyes. Rubbish! Victor said it was used to clean both engines and rolling stock. I meant diesel engines. James was surprised. Sorry, James, but steam engines and engine washes do not mix. Yeah, unless you want to be a big water tanker, it's unlikely that you'll ever go into the engine wash in steam and still be able to move under your own power. The other engines and their crews laughed, but James was cross. Alright, James, did you say that you're in need of a wash? James huffed. Actually, my paintwork is fine, Victor. Besides, I have important work to do. Come on, guys, best we get back to work. Alright, James. With that, James puffed away. That night, James was in the shed, but he was still annoyed. I'll show them. They think diesels are the only ones who can be automatically cleaned. He huffed to himself. The next day, James had to take a goods train to the diesel works. When he arrived, the yard was empty, as Dan and Dart had to rescue Derek, who had once again broken down. James also noticed that the diesel works had its own wash. No one's here, and the workmen are on break, so now's my chance, thought James. Once he shunted the train into the siding, he went to the wash. Don't even think about it, said James's driver. Oh, come on, driver. Why don't you just dampen my fire and don't have the water spraying at full force? That may work, said James's fireman. The driver realized that it was 2 against 1. Very well, said the driver reluctantly. The driver positioned James in the wash and dampened down his fire and started the wash at low power. This is nice. So much better than having workmen manually wash those engines. Agreed, said the fireman, but the driver was concerned. Soon, James was all washed. What do you think? It felt odd, but I could get used to this, replied James. The crew got into the now soaked cab. The driver opened the regulator and James started to move. But he didn't get far. What happened? Asked James. The fire in your firebox is out, replied the driver. James was surprised and a little embarrassed. But the driver just sighed. I knew this was a bad idea, he sighed. What shall I do now? I'll go and get help, and you can stay here and keep an eye on James and try to light his fire, said the driver. With that, he left. Poor James was left feeling disappointed. Oh, I hope none of the other diesels come here. Well, the workers are busy elsewhere, and Dan and Dart are busy helping Derek, so I think there's little to worry about. Just then, they heard a horn. Is that? Before James could finish his sentence, a certain diesel arrived. Well, 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 what do we have here? Nothing. Just waiting for my boiler pressure to rise. Then why are you in the engine wash? James looked away in embarrassment. Oh, I see. Not surprised at all. You silly steamies. think that anything we diesels can do, you steamies can do as well. James and his fireman groaned. So maybe it's time we teach this engine a lesson, said Diesel 10's driver. He edged the throttle forward and raised Diesel 10's claw. No, I'm too old to be scrapped, pleaded James. Just as he said that, Boco arrived. Diesel 10, what's going on? Nothing, Cowboy. Just having a bit of fun. Boco just sighed. Are you alright, James? The manager told me what happened. Yes, Boco, said James. Soon, Boco was coupled up to James. James's crew climbed into his cab, and Boco rolled away. When Boco and James arrived at Vickerstown goods yard, Sir Topham Hatt was waiting for them. James, what are we going to do with you? James just looked at his buffers. In my defense, sir, I did suggest it was a bad idea. I see. Boco, you can handle James's trains for the rest of the day. And James, once your firebox is dried and relit, you can handle Boco's work. James just sighed. That night, when he returned to the shed, he was both dirty and exhausted. But the story had already spread. No use for a silly workman to clean up James the Diesel, said a voice from somewhere in the shed. Be quiet, snapped James. But the other engines just laughed. Meanwhile, at the Diesel Works, you look splendid. Thank you, boss. When can I get to work? Soon. We just have to perform tests on you to make sure everything is assembled correctly. Alright, said the engine. If you say so. I do say so. This is going to be good. Very good indeed.